Hello! Today we're gonna review a wonderful set of books. So we're gonna talk about Vertikal 1, Vertikal 2, Vertikal 3, and the Alta Escola, what is a book series written by Manuel Jorge de Oliveira. Hello, I'm Isa from Finca Soleil, Costa Rica, and today I want to share with you my experiences with the Oliveira books. Before we're going to get into the material of the books and what it did to me, I would really like to share with you a little bit about who I am, what was my path, and how did I get here. So I'm riding horses since I'm a little kid. I've been always involved in horses. I owned my first horse since I was 11 years old, and I'm just a very passionate person about horses, as I'd imagine you are, because that's why we meet here. In my teenager time, I got introduced into some natural horsemanship and like liberty riding just with a neck rope, and bitless riding. So if you're interested about my journey from bitless to bit riding, I'm gonna link you my video underneath. Anyways, I was into bitless riding for a long time and into natural horsemanship, into the psychology with horses. But one piece that was always missing for me was to understand the horse's body. How do I get my horses to become strong so they can carry me? And so I learned about classical art of riding, classical horsemanship, and I started to study it. I did it bitless in a certain way. There's like different schools out there, and if you're interested, leave me a comment, and I'm super excited to do a video about the schools that I've been in and what are the differences. So I've studied a certain school and I was happy with it, but I didn't really find the key, if I put it like that. Like, I had some struggles with my beautiful horse Heredero, about the canter, about mounting. At one point he wouldn't really lift his hind legs when I picked him, at least one hind leg, so I felt there was some kind of stiffness in his hind leg. And since I was daily doing workouts with him, trying to do the lateral movements as I had learned them, I wondered how this could have happened. So I decided to go out and look for something else, and that's what I found. And since then the journey's been a skyrocket. I can't say it different. Let's get started. When you get into the Vertikal, the first book you're gonna look into is Vertikal 1. And it does make sense because the exercises are built up on each other. In Vertikal 1, you will first understand the conformation of your horse and what you need to look out for when you implement this knowledge into your training. You will also get the basic exercises that we will perform every day before training, no matter at what level or what state you are with your horse. That is the mobilization exercise and the flexions. So you will learn them, and then you will have the foundation of the geometry of the riding arena. This is extremely important, and it will take you a while to understand it, implement it. It requires a lot of concentration of the rider. And also the horse, your horse will need to learn how to use the riding arena more effectively. You will start to ride the first lateral gaits. It's more of a simple, and you will start the canter work, but really the beginning. More details will come in Vertikal 2. In Vertikal 2, you will really get to understand the lateral movements. There is an introduction into it in Vertikal 1, but in Vertikal 2, you really study the lateral movements, understand with what movement you can help what part, or get supple what part of your horse, strengthen what part of your horse. So it's a very, very detailed information about set of movements, and there's also patterns that you can then ride. So it's a very instructional book where you get really like hands-on exercises that you can then perform in your home arena. You will start, if you've come so far, you will start to see a tremendous change in your horse physically, like you will see the top line development, and also his mobility and strength has built up already. Vertikal 3, well, you get to start to understand more difficult exercises and movements. You will start to get introduced into working on a line, what's a fantastic exercise. You will also start with things like the work on the pirouette, the work on the flying lead changes, the work on a piaffe or a diagonalization. You have started that in Vertikal 1. This set of books is a very clear instruction on how to get from the beginning to the top. So, but in Vertikal 3, and you see it's the thickest of the three, you will start to really get into it. It's a trilogy, but this one is like the fourth of the series. So after you work through the 3 years, each book contains like 1 year of training, more or less, depends your horse, depends your abilities, depends how much time you put in, right? But it's thought to be a 3 years process, 3 years training program with your horse. You will probably come to Alta Escola, maybe. This is in the book, it's clearly explained. Alta Escola is not for everybody. If you get into more difficult movements with your horse, there can come something out that, you know, not every rider maybe want to meet. And if you're just a hobby rider or you just want to trail ride, but you want to make sure that your horse is physically fit and doesn't damage himself with the riding, you know, you work happily through Vertikal 1 and 2, and then maybe leave it there and enjoy your trail rides and just use it as an gymnasticizing workout for your horse next to your trail riding or whatever you want to do, jumping, whatever is your passion. But if you're going this path, this will be the book that will get your heart and fire. At least it didn't done with mine. You go through all the specific movements that is part of this type of Alta Escola from Manuel Jorge de Oliveira. You will get more details about working the pirouette, the piaffe, the flying lead changes, and the passage. So you will get details about all of this, but you will also be reminded on Vertikal 1, because the foundation, the basis, is what you need always. So there is no way that you'll just like your development will be just like that. You will always be reminded, and that's throughout the series of books too, that you have to come back to basics if something is cracked in your foundation. Let's talk a little bit about the controversy around this style of writing or the book series. I was reluctant to just get started when I first learned about Oliveira, because there is a lot of controversy, discussion around the topic on the internet. If you are into social medias, I mean, you probably have observed how things can be looked at from many different perspectives, and how things can be criticized. So I was looking into the critiques, and it took me a while before I could develop my own eye and see what benefits I saw in the horses, or seeing developments of different horses. A few things that are criticized, I wanted to pick up to put my point of view on them. One thing that would probably look out to you that is very, very different performed in the Oliveira riding or in the Vertikal riding compared to the modern dressage is the position of the neck. Now, I was researching for this video, and generally, because I'm wanting to build some online courses, and I was researching if somebody is teaching in this particular style or similar, and when I'm searching about the difference of impulsion and the capacity to carry, what I will mainly find is that most teachers, or at least all the ones I find, they will teach you to, the first thing you should train with your horse is to ride your horse in a low neck position. Okay, so they want the horses to stretch, how they call it, to ride it in a long and low neck. Yes, there is the idea of the lifting up of the back, and in the Vertikal riding it's not performed like that. The horses are worked in a natural head position. So the natural head position is the position that your horse would put in when he's in a wake state. Like let's say your horse would look at something, they'll naturally bring the neck up and look at something. So that is the natural head position, and it's a rather high position compared to what is performed in the modern riding. Now, if you look into the theory, everywhere it says the poll should be the highest point in the horse. But if you look in practice, you will see most of the times it's not practiced like that. In vertical riding, it's very clear, yes, it's practiced like that. A second controversy or thing that might look very different to you if you look into how this looks like on the horse is that, and that might be one of the reasons why it's called vertical, is that the horse's nose line must always be on or in front the vertical line. If you look into the modern riding, the modern dressage, you will notice that all the way up to the Olympics, most of the times the horses are on or behind the vertical. One more topic that I observe that is discussed often, or that people won't understand when they just see a horse being ridden vertical without understanding, is the speed. In the vertical riding, they want the horses to move extremely slow with a lot of consciousness. So they call this school gaits versus working gaits. Now, in my German riding school as a kid, I was always taught to ride forward in a working gait, working trot, middle walk. Why would you want to slow down? You will be able to move every hoof individually. This will create and improve your horse's balance. Speeding up is always a sign of disbalance. Think about that one. Giving the horse the opportunity to bend the joints, because only when the lateral movements are performed in a slow and controlled pace, the horse is able to bend all the joints. It for sure also helps to prevent injury. Now, as you could see in my riding and the transformation process of my beautiful horse Guapo, I'm sure you could see my conclusion on how important these books are for the equestrian world and for the well-being of the horse. So I really hope that people will come out and require these books in English so that we can get the translation, and this really, really detailed and important knowledge can be spread out to the world. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have a question, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. Have you heard about the vertical riding before? What was your perception about it? I'd love to hear what you think, and let's keep riding!